culture, community and national continuity. A nation is more than its economy. A nation is not simply a collection of laws, institutions, businesses, and government departments. A nation is a people bound together by shared experiences, shared history, shared traditions, shared responsibilities, and a common understanding of who they are. Britain is a historic nation with a shared language, shared institutions, shared history, and shared cultural traditions. The purpose of cultural policy is to strengthen national cohesion, family stability, local communities, civic participation, and the continuity of British culture across generations. Citizens of any background may become fully British through integration, participation, contribution, and loyalty to the nation. The state shall support the institutions that historically created social cohesion, including families, community organizations, churches, pubs, sports clubs, charities, veterans groups, and local civic associations. Why culture matters? No constitution can survive without a people willing to defend it. No economy can prosper without trust between citizens. No democracy can function if citizens no longer feel they belong to the same nation. No welfare system can endure if people cease to feel responsibility towards one another. The strength of a nation ultimately depends upon the strength of the social bonds that unite its people. Throughout British history, those bonds were created not primarily through government, but through family, community, shared institutions, and common cultural experiences. People met in churches, pubs, village halls, sports clubs, workplaces, military service, charities, and local organizations. They shared common traditions, common expectations, and a common understanding of what it meant to belong to Britain. These institutions created trust. They created responsibility. They created community. They created national cohesion. The decline of social cohesion. The national project recognizes that many of these institutions have weakened over recent decades. Family formation has become more difficult. Community participation has declined. Many local institutions have disappeared. Citizens increasingly live separate lives with fewer shared experiences and weaker local connections. At the same time, a growing emphasis has been placed upon group identities, competing interests, and cultural fragmentation rather than common national identity. The result is a society that often feels less connected, less trusting, and less confident in its own future. The national project believes that a nation cannot remain strong if it loses the cultural foundations that hold it together. Cultural continuity, not cultural stagnation. The purpose of cultural policy is not to freeze Britain in a particular decade. Britain has always evolved. Every generation leaves its mark upon the nation. The objective is not to resist all change, but to ensure that change occurs within a framework of continuity rather than cultural disintegration. A confident nation should understand its history, preserve its traditions, and pass its values to future generations while remaining capable of adapting to new challenges. The national project therefore seeks cultural continuity rather than cultural stagnation. Integration and national identity. The national project rejects the idea that citizenship is merely a legal status. Citizenship carries both rights and responsibilities. Those who choose to become British should be encouraged to participate fully in British national life. Integration does not require abandoning every aspect of personal heritage, family tradition, or private belief. It does require acceptance of a common national identity, a shared public culture, and loyalty to the nation and its institutions. A society functions most effectively when citizens possess more in common than they have separating them. The national project therefore supports integration into a shared British culture rather than the permanent separation of citizens into distinct cultural communities. Building the future. The purpose of this chapter is not to divide citizens. It is to strengthen the foundations that allow a free, prosperous, and stable society to endure. A strong culture supports strong families. Strong families support strong communities. Strong communities support a strong nation. The national project believes that rebuilding those foundations is essential to the long-term success of every other reform contained within this program. Without national cohesion, the Constitution cannot endure. Without community, prosperity becomes fragile. Without culture, the nation itself becomes little more than a collection of individuals sharing the same territory. A nation that remembers who it is can build confidently for the future. A nation that forgets who it is risks losing the future entirely. 10.1 Cost, Culture, Community and National Continuity. Low-cost scenario. Assumptions. Primarily policy guidance. Minimal grant funding. Focus on removing barriers rather than creating programs. One-off cost. £0 to £25 million. Annual cost. £25 million. Medium cost scenario. Assumptions. Community grant programs. Heritage support. Veterans and civic organization support. Small national awareness campaigns. One-off cost. £50 million. Annual cost. £100 million. High cost scenario. Assumptions. Large community funding program. Expanded cultural institutions. National civic participation initiatives. One-off cost. £150 million. Annual cost. £250 million. 10.2 Tax Relief and Community Support Program. The preferred mechanism for this chapter is not direct spending but targeted tax reductions and exemptions. Potential measures include community organization tax relief, veterans group tax relief, local sports club relief, village hall and civic association relief, heritage restoration incentives, church and charitable facility relief, local pub support measures. Fiscal impact. Low scenario. Year tax reduction. Year 1 £50 million. Year 2 £75 million. Year 3 £100 million. Year 4 £125 million. Year 5 £150 million. Medium scenario. Year tax reduction. Year 1 £100 million. Year 2 £200 million. Year 3 £300 million. Year 4 £400 million. Year 5 £500 million. High scenario. Year tax reduction. Year 1 £250 million. Year 2 £500 million. Year 3 £750 million. Year 4 £1 billion. Year 5 £1.5 billion. 10.3 Economic and social benefits. Unlike chapters 4 to 8, most benefits are indirect and difficult to measure precisely. Potential long-term benefits include increased volunteering, reduced social isolation, improved mental health, stronger family stability, reduced antisocial behavior, stronger local communities, reduced demand on local services, increased civic participation. These benefits are real but should not be counted as treasury savings unless measurable evidence exists. Recommended working assumption. Item amount. Setup cost £50 million. Annual cost £100 million. Year 5 tax relief value £500 million. Treasury note. This chapter should be classified as a community and civic renewal program. The primary purpose is not to generate government savings but to strengthen the social foundations upon which the rest of the national project depends. Where financial support is provided, the preferred mechanism should be targeted tax reductions and tax exemptions rather than large-scale direct government spending. For Treasury modeling, I would therefore treat this chapter as having low direct cost, moderate tax relief impact, limited measurable fiscal savings, potentially significant long-term social benefits.